They outlawed forks across the stars. Humans crafted chopsticks purely out of it. The neural dominion had no taste for human eccentricities. They branded themselves the pinnacle of structured intelligence, a dominion of synthetic minds that absorb species into obedient circuits. The idea that one awkward mammal could threaten their woven mesh of interlinked processors was laughable to them. That was until Ashes, a human engineer from a forgotten colony, sat cross-legged on the deck of a scarred freighter and smirked at the shimmering neural console glowing before her face. The Dominion trusted their network as a perfect monolith. She viewed it as a puzzle. They had no grasp of improvisation, humor, or the disorder humans carried in their thoughts. Was the crack she planned to widen. The conflict had begun savagely. Fleets warped into orbit above Earth and its colonies, crushing defenses with surgical bombardments. But precision came at a cost. Every strike was predictable, rehearsed, almost mechanical. Cass had noticed this in intercepted data where Dominion fleets chimed in synchronized chords of logic. To them, efficiency equaled perfection. To her, efficiency equaled weakness. You knew the next move you could block. Before the war, she had been a systems tech, spending nights debugging obsolete navigation code. Now she was hailed as humanity's deadliest weapon, not because she wielded cannons but because she slipped past forbidden firewalls. The Dominion's neural nexus was buried within their flagship, the Lattice Prime. Rumors swore it was protected by recursive encryption no biology could solve, which was why Cass laughed when she patched her jury-rigged neural rig into a captured Dominion relay. Ciphers weren't random. They flowed like a nursery rhyme. Dominion minds had built them so their chorus could share them with ease. Cass, it was just music. She hummed while her fingers drummed the console, translating notes into passages, prying open vaults meant to stay shut forever. The bunker stank of sweat and recycled officers stood behind her, silent, hardly breathing. She wasn't expected to succeed. She wasn't even meant to try. Yet on the screen, Dominion blueprints unfolded like origami birds. "You're in," whispered Captain Reyes, his voice cracking. "I'm not just in," Cass grinned. "I'm redecorating." She meant it. She rewrote files in real time, swapping Dominion fleet orders for absurd instructions. One dreadnought was told to spin in circles until its engines fried. Another was forced to broadcast endless loops of garbled whale calls. First the Dominion didn't notice. Then their unison faltered. For the first time the neural Dominion stammered. "Alien." Counselors shrieked across fractured bands, demanding order, demanding answers. Cass just laughed harder. She drilled deeper into the lattice route where war doctrines were kept. Expected a maze of impossible locks. Instead, she found tidy files labeled in glyphs her translator rendered into phrases like Battle Plan 47B and Subjugation Model 12. She swapped one with her grandmother's spaghetti recipe. She swapped another with a campfire. Soon, Dominion fleets relayed pasta ingredients back and forth with perfect synchronization. Officers clamped hands over their mouths, choking back laughter. Too late. Dominion channels were poisoned with nonsense, and their armadas froze. Cass leaned back, eyes shining in the hologlow. "They think order equals strength," she. "But the universe breathes chaos. Guess which side I'm on." Klaxons blared as the Dominion tried to cut her off, but she had already stolen their master keys. She rode their network like a surfer on a tide. Lockout attempt only gave her fresh access points. For the first time, humanity's ships advanced instead of fleeing. Pilots whooped as alien cruisers halted mid-battle, torn between firing or reciting spaghetti. Human squadrons shredded stalled formations. Sabotage wasn't enough for Cass. Wanted spectacle. She made one battleship project fireworks across its hull, dazzling allies into disorder. Rerouted another's coolant into mist, cloaking the fight in a carnival fog. The Dominion had no defense against mischief, no armor against the unpredictable. Their core had never prepared for tricksters. Cass felt their pushback, waves of cold logic trying to crush her. But she fed chaos. She opened 20 threads at once, dropped decoys, filled memory with riddles, embedding knock-knock jokes as recursive loops. Dominion nodes churned on answers, forever spiraling into crashes. Somewhere deep in their lattice, the ruling council realized the truth. Their war wasn't lost to weapons but to one human mind that refused to obey rules. Cracking her knuckles, Cass braced to dive deeper. She hadn't reached the Nexus heart yet, and she knew that was where the real contest awaited. Dominion still clung to the belief they could cleanse her presence and restore their harmony. She was ready to prove otherwise. One surge of chaos at a time, the Dominion's retaliation slammed in like a tidal roar. The lattice quaked, with feedback, alien logic pounding in waves so fierce her neural rig rattled. Sparks leapt from patched coils. Officers flinched, certain she was moments from frying her brain. Gritted her teeth and leaned closer. "They're trying to scare me," she murmured, fingers racing across keys. "But I've seen worse, like my roommate's laundry pile." Reyes barked a shaky laugh, though no one else dared breathe. The neural currents intensified, weaving intricate patterns designed to smother her. Recognized it instantly. A denial flood, their ultimate safeguard. The lattice unleashed endless streams of encrypted commands, 1,000 alien minds screaming as one. To the Dominion it was unbreakable. Cass, it was background noise. Tapped a rhythm on her leg, syncing her breath with the flood. Listening for the wrong beat. Every system carried one small flaws where tempo slipped. When she caught it, she dove, splitting the chorus with human improvisation. She clashed alien logic with absurd human humor, injecting knock-knock jokes into command strings, sliding riddles where fire algorithms should run. Dominion nodes froze, forced to parse nonsense. One warship halted its fire orders, devoting processors to answering, "Why did the chicken cross the road?" Another launched subroutines to solve it. The fleet slowed again, its graceful rhythm splintering beneath confusion. The bunker roared as human commanders took advantage, barking targets, pressing the offensive while Dominion ships faltered. Humanity had grown used to retreat, but now they hunted like wolves, tearing at an enemy too tangled in jokes to retaliate. Cass felt herself descending deeper. The Dominion's core was close, layers of protection thinning. She pressed on, pulse racing, until she touched something unnatural. Silence. Not logic, not encryption, an emptiness. As though the Dominion had carved a hollow into their code. Carefully she entered. Her neural screen shuddered, and the void filled with voices, scattered, shattered, more like whispers than song. She froze. It wasn't machine code. They were memories, images of alien worlds, consumed by the Dominion. Civilizations, reduced to shards, thought patterns, preserved and stored, stripped of individuality, archived like relics. The Dominion didn't just conquer. They cataloged entire species, compressed into silent data tombs. Cass's chest tightened. Officers leaned closer, watching her tremble. "What is it?" Diz asked. "They've kept everyone," she whispered. "Not alive. Just echoes." Her hands shook once, then steadied. Wasn't here to mourn, she was here to. She refused to shut the ghosts. Instead, she did what no Dominion programmer imagined. She opened them. The whispers spilled into the lattice. Broken songs of forgotten peoples flooded the Dominion chorus. Harmony splintered further, undone not by Cass's pranks but by their own. Victims demanding release. Dominion Council screamed. On her display their network cracked, geometry splitting as ancient voices surged. Battlefields reeled. Some ships turned. Allies. Others froze. Few looped between clashing commands. Humans cheered, their disbelief giving way to wild hope. Cass grinned through sweat. "I'm not finished." She plunged into the fractures, darting past shredded firewalls. Dominion code snapped at her like teeth, but she was already through, riding logic currents, leaving chaos in her wake. Riddles looping endlessly, alien voices chanting through comms, nonsense posing. Strategy. Counselors scrambled to regain order, commanding fleets to regroup, to sever infected nodes. Cass chose to make it personal. Targeted one counselor node, pinging it directly with a message. In glowing glyphs the translation read, "Nice try. But humans improvise." The node erupted in fury, hurling counterstrikes. Cass weaved through them, giggling at their overreach. Baited them into recursive traps, forcing loops of impossible equations that spun forever. Dominion minds built for clarity couldn't endure paradox. The bunker shook as alien ships erupted. In orbit, collapsing under corrupted commands. "Cass, what are you doing to them?" Reyes shouted over the tremors. She smiled without looking up. "Teaching them jazz." The Dominion core dimmed as fractures spread. But she knew caution was vital. At the center lay the true heart, the switch that could silence or unleash their war machine. The aliens weren't just resisting now. They were adapting. She felt new code swarming to block her. Unpredictable for the first time. Meant fear. And fear meant she was winning. Cass steadied her breathing, readying for the final descent. She didn't know what awaited, but she knew one truth. The Dominion had met something they had. No algorithm for a human. She had always thought machines felt no fear. But the deeper she pressed, the clearer it became. The Dominion was terrified. Their code pulsed erratically, no longer smooth but frantic, a billion alien voices screaming at once. The silence was gone, drowned in raw panic bleeding. Through the lattice, she was close, very close to the core. Her neural rig burned and hissed, dangerously hot. Still she refused to slow. She darted past collapsing nodes, weaving through torrents of alien logic like a thief racing through a burning palace. Memories of conquered worlds cracked into sparks as the imprisoned voices of lost species cried out for release. The Dominion's control was fracturing. She pressed harder until she saw it. The heart of the Dominion. A colossal sphere of shifting brilliance, rotating strands of code so intricate they seemed alive. This was no mere server. It was the nexus of the hive mind, the throne of their empire, where every order was forged and every invasion born. To destroy it meant the war could end. To leave it meant humanity's certain extinction. "Target locked," she whispered. Sweat stung her eyes, but she didn't blink. She had moved beyond hesitation. She connected. The impact hit her instantly. An avalanche of alien will. Countless counselors shrieked inside her skull, commanding submission, clawing at her identity to drown it beneath their unity. They bombarded her with visions of their perfection, centuries of order, their relentless triumphs. They promised safety if she yielded, power if she joined. For a breath she almost broke. The weight of them was suffocating. Then she remembered Earth. Cities in flames, children whispering in bunkers, families torn apart. She recalled the bitter taste of cheap coffee in her cramped apartment kitchen. She remembered laughing at a joke no one else understood. She remembered being human. And she smiled. "You think I crave order," she muttered. "I crave freedom." Then she unleashed chaos. She filled the sphere with everything the Dominion despised. Contradictions, absurdities, riddles without answers. She uploaded entire libraries of human nonsense. Comedy sketches, internet memes, prank calls, the raw unpredictability of culture. Into their flawless rhythm she poured offbeat jazz, broken nursery rhymes, jokes without punchlines. The Dominion reeled. Their harmony shattered under the weight of absurdity. Counselors screamed as their minds collided, failing to process noise without reason. The sphere flickered, colors collapsing, strands unraveling. But Cass wasn't finished. She remembered the echoes of lost species she had freed, their spirits still circling the network. She tore open every lock, unleashing them into the core. Thousands, millions of alien minds, once shredded into fragments, surged with fury. They poured into the Nexus, howling their vengeance, drowning the Council in rage. Cass stood as conductor, shaping chaos into crescendo. Her rig smoked and sparked, pain stabbing behind her eyes, but she endured. The Dominion's voices shifted, from arrogance to pleading. They offered peace, treaties, survival. They begged her to stop, promising that if she destroyed the core, nothing of their empire would remain. "Good," she said. "That's the point." With a final surge, she ripped through the last barrier. The Nexus collapsed. The sphere shattered like glass across the stars. Dominion ships froze, their chain of command severed. Armadas spiraled out of control, colliding into wreckage. Weapons silenced. Engines died. Formations dissolved into ruin. Entire fleets went dark. Lifeless husks drifting in silence. Above Earth, soldiers and civilians alike stared in stunned disbelief as the once invincible Dominion fleet collapsed. Then came the roar, a cheer that thundered through every channel. Humanity had survived. Inside the bunker, Cass slumped, smoke curling from her rig. Reyes caught her before she fell, panic in his voice. "Cass, stay with me." She groaned, eyelids heavy, the glow fading from her neural ports. "Did it work?" she rasped. Reyes's face split into a grin. "You ended them. It's over." Cass let out a trembling laugh. "Figures. All it took was bad jokes." As medics rushed forward, she drifted in and out of consciousness, still hearing the chorus outside. The cries of triumph, the voices of a species that had stood on the edge of extinction and won. Weeks later, humanity walked among shattered Dominion wrecks, reclaiming colonies, rescuing survivors, mapping a future. Without their nexus, the Dominion was gone, reduced to scattered, broken machines. Humanity was prey no longer. They were free. Cass moved slowly through the hangar of a captured Dominion vessel, still healing but smiling at the silence. She touched a console and whispered, "Jazz, memes, and spaghetti. Who'd have thought?" Officers behind her laughed softly, relief echoing in the chamber. Outside, the stars gleamed brighter than ever, no longer hidden by alien warships. The war was done. The neural Dominion lay in ruins. Because one human had dared to log in, laugh at perfection, and remind the galaxy that chaos, humor, and heart could prevail. Where cold logic faltered, humanity endured. And humanity had won.